Hello everyone, this is Lilia from Intelligent and it's great to be with you again. Today I'm going to share with you 3 clever ways to check yourself whether you're writing or saying the right thing if you're having doubts but there is nobody around you who you can ask. 1. Think of an analogy to a language chunk that you are having doubts about but that you want to say or write. Think of a similar language chunk that you are 100% sure about. For example, if you're having doubts whether you should say in winter or at winter, maybe you can think to yourself, oh, okay, what similar chunk of language do I know for sure? And maybe that's in summer because you heard it in a song. Or maybe if you're writing an article and you want to write but now you don't know whether you should write from a science perspective or from a scientific perspective. But thankfully you remember that right now you're reading a book about psychology and there you 100% remember being written from a psychological perspective. Apply that same logic to the phrase that you are struggling with right now and that will lead you to writing from a scientific perspective. By analogy, because you need an adjective there. This tip works very well in particular when you're struggling with grammar. For example, you might be having doubts. Should I write let somebody to do something or let somebody do something? But then you remember a title of a book that you're currently reading by Eric Barre and it says Let the Moon Be Free. The analogy could be a song title, a line from a famous song, a book title, a phrase that you can see as repetitive in a book that you are reading or a podcast that you are listening. 2. Put the phrase that you are struggling with into the mouth of your language model. Or imagine your language model, if it's a writer, writing the phrase that you are struggling with and feel which option will be correct. We've talked about language models a lot on this channel. A language model is a speaker of English whose English you see as high quality, whose English you respect, or maybe whose English you would love to speak to. It could be a teacher, but for some people it could be also an actor. It could be their favourite podcaster. For example, for me, one of my favourite language models has always been Luke from Luke's English podcast. I also admire Mr. Duncan from Mr. Duncan's YouTube channel. So whenever I'm having doubts, I imagine Mr. Duncan replacing Lilia's voice in my head and saying that language chunk that I'm struggling with. And I allow my mirror neurons to do the job. We can always rely on our intuition when we're speaking language. If we start controlling whatever we want to say consciously, we will end up speaking very, very slowly and most of the time quite inaccurately. So when we allow our subconscious to do the job, we can rely on it more than on our conscious mind with all of its grammar rules and everything that it has learned from a book or something. So just allow your subconscious to say the phrase that you are struggling with in your language model's voice. And feel how that sounds. If you have 2 options between which you cannot really choose, get your language model to say both of these things in your own mind. The probability is that whichever sounds more natural in your language model's voice will be the correct option for you to write or say. 3. Take the language that you are struggling with out of your mind and actually say it out loud. This works especially well when you're writing. Very often when we're writing, we're playing around with concepts in our own mind. But the trick is to take them out of your own mind and to actually say them. Our primary way of learning language is through listening. So whenever we are hearing something, we can somehow juxtapose it with that bit of information that we previously learned, and we can tell whether it's right or wrong. So try doing the same thing when you're writing. But even if you are speaking, if you're in an English lesson and you are talking to your teacher, get yourself to actually say both options. Maybe you can ask your teacher to not correct you when you do that because you want to figure it out yourself. Also, when you're writing something, read out loud what you have written. What you can do to learn English on your own is ridiculous. So never give up. Don't make it an excuse that you don't have a language partner or anyone around. And go ahead. I believe in you. My heart goes out to you. You can support my work on Patreon, following the link in the description box down below. And if you're interested in one-on-one English lessons, you can find my email in the description box down below. My name was Lilia, and I'm running this project Inktelligent to help people learn to find their own voice in English and express themselves truthfully and authentically. Thank you so much for spending these couple of minutes with me. See you later. Bye-bye.